Okay. I believe we are live on Facebook. Ohayo gozaimasu. Let me just make sure. Yes, we are. Okay, so I'm watching on my phone. So if you guys have any comments, just leave them here. I should be able to answer them for you. Why don't we get started with some vocabulary? So I have a lot of foods here. Last week I posted a video about foods and drinks and phrases that you can use with them. Would you like some coffee? Here you go. Thank you. Things like that. If you didn't get a chance to watch that video, it's actually on YouTube and you can only access it via the link that I shared. So look back at our post from last Saturday, find the link, and you can study about food. We had to do it that way because sometimes I work on Saturday, sometimes I don't. This week I don't, so we can do a live lesson on Facebook. Yay. Okay, and the word for food, let's get into it. The word for food, 食べ物, 食べ物, 食べ物. And you can repeat after me. Try saying these words. 食べ物, food, right? The word for cooked rice, ご飯, ご飯, ご飯. You could also just say rice. Doesn't matter. Rice. They didn't write it in English, but it's here in Japanese. Rice. Okay? Gohan or rice. Either one for cooked rice. Gohan can also mean just a meal. Okay? Just a meal in general. The word for bread, pan. Pan. I like pan, actually. And just a side note, if you ever buy bread in Japan, it will look different than bread in America. I mean, the only difference being that they tend to cut the slices into larger, kind of thicker slices. So in Japan, you get thicker slices of bread. Also, I've noticed that it tends to expire quicker in America. Bread does. Or not in America, in Japan. In Japan, bread expires a lot quicker. At least the bread they sold at my stores that I would go to. The word for cereal, シリアル. 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 This has two R sounds, リ and ル. In Japanese, the R is different from the R in English, right? The R in Japanese, you kind of put your tongue behind your front teeth at the top of your mouth, and then you make the vowel sound. Da, right? Ri, ru, re, ro. It's a mix between like a D and an L in English, but not really those. It's really unique, the Japanese R. Okay, the word for jam, 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 jam. The word for butter, this is difficult, right? Butter, butter, butter. The word for fish, sakana, sakana, sakana. The word for shrimp, ebi, ebi, ebi. I also like shrimp. I love ebi. How about crab? Kani, kani, kani. And the word for meats, which we also learned last week, niku, niku, niku. Okay, let's get into certain kinds of meats. So if we're talking meat from a cow or beef, right, this would be 牛肉, 牛肉, 牛肉. You could also say beef, beef, okay, beef. The 牛 comes from cow, right? And then niku is meat. So cow meat would be beef, right? How about chicken? 鶏肉, 鶏肉. You could also say chicken. That's the easy way, right? Chicken. Tori, again, is the word for bird, and niku is meat. So bird meat we call chicken. Tori niku. All right, what about pork? Meat from a pig, right? Buta niku. Buta niku. You could also just say pork. 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 Again, this is pretty simple, standard, right? Buta is pig, niku, meat. Pig meat, buta niku, or just pork. So the meats are pretty simple, right? You could just use the English word, basically, beef, chicken, pork, either way. The word for, sorry, egg or eggs, tamago. Tamago. Tamago, right? I like tamago, actually. The word for cheese is cheese. 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 The word for yogurt can kind of be difficult for some foreigners. Good luck. Yoguruto. 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 All right. Yoguruto. The word for vegetables, we learned this last week as well, if you watched that video. Yasai. Yasai. Okay. We have some yasai here. Cucumbers, cabbage, tomatoes. Speaking of cabbage, the word for cabbage, kibitz. 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 My hair is a mess this morning. The word for a cucumber, kyuri. 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 The word for a potato, jagaimo. 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 The word for onion, tamanegi. 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 And the word for tomato, tomatoes, tomato. Tomato. I'm wondering, does anyone like these foods, these kinds of things that I have on the screen? Cheese, yogurt, yasai, kibitz, kyuri, jagaimo, tamanegi, tomato. Anybody like these? Sometimes I like yogurto and jagaimo as well. I like tomato on my hamburgers, but that's basically it. Kyuri as well in my salads. Those are good. Moving on, the word for carrots in Japanese, ninjin. 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 Okay. The word for lettuce, lettuce. Lettuce. Okay, lettuce. The word for fruit or fruits. This is easy. We learned it last week. Kudamono. 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 And again, if you're just joining us, we're just going over some vocabulary. Try saying the words after I say them to practice. The word for strawberry, ichigo. 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 There's actually a famous anime manga character named Ichigo. Sometimes they call him Strawberry. The word for watermelon, suika. 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 There's a really fun game that many Japanese people do in the summer called suikawari. And they take a suika, a big watermelon, they put it on the ground, they take a baseball bat, and they just whack the heck out of the watermelon. Of course, I think you have to be blindfolded. I did this with my students when I was a teacher. We did suikawari. I had a student bring a watermelon, someone brought a bat, and I blindfolded them. We just whacked the heck out of the watermelon. It was a good time. Banana in Japanese. Banana. Banana. Kind of have to sound like a minion, right? Banana. Okay, the word for grapes. Budou. Budou. We've actually seen this word last week when we were studying the Bible in Japanese. Budou shu, right? Wine. Budou. The word for an orange. Mikan. Mikan. This could also be a tangerine, right? Mikan. The word for apple, ringo. Ringo. Again, the Japanese R is a little different, right? You're going to have to put the tip of your tongue behind your front teeth and a little bit back. And then you kind of tap off. Ringo. Okay. Again, with lemon, right? The word lemon is lemon. 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 Okay. Then we have sweets in general. Okashi. Okashi. Okay. Does anyone like okashi? Okashi, right? I do. Actually, not so much. I like this ice cream though, and in Japanese, ice cream, ice cream. Ice cream. Right here, ice cream. Many times in Japan, people will just say ice, okay? To mean it's short for ice cream, okay? You could just say ice. Ice. Ice? Ice 食べる? Right? Will you have some ice cream? So, do you like any of these foods up here? 果物、いちご、スイカ、バナナ、ぶどう、みかん、りんご、レモン. Does anybody like these? You might notice some of these words look like English, right? Lettuce, okay? Banana, lemon. Why is that? This is because Japan does not have many of these foods natively, right? Lettuce, I guess, was not natively grown in Japan at one point. Neither were bananas, neither were lemons, right? So in history, foreigners had to introduce these foods to Japan, and the Japanese just called it what the foreigners called it. So lemons were lemon, bananas were banana, okay? And today, most of these foreign foods are imported from different places around the world. When you're talking about hard candy, that would be ame. Ame. Kind of rising tone, right? Ame. All right, ame. If you say ame, that means rain. Context is key, though. Context will really help you in many situations in Japanese. Orange, you could also say, I see a comment here. Orange. Oranji, you could say as well. Oh, someone is printing in my house. Sorry. Oranji. Let me make that big for you guys. Oranji. I apologize. The printer is going crazy behind me. Oh. Oranji, yeah. Okay, cookies. If you want a cookie, you say cookie. Cookie, right? Cookie. If you want cake, you say keiki. Keiki. Cookie, keiki. Pretty simple. The word for chocolate. Oh, my mom, she loves chocolate. Chocoreto. Chocoreto. Right? And we'll finish with these here. Yeah, we'll finish with this page. The word for sugar in Japanese. Sato. Sato, which is also a very common Japanese last name. Sato. The word for salt in Japanese. Shio. Shio. The word for soy sauce, shoyu. Shoyu. Okay, you'll see this at Japanese restaurants a lot. The word for rice, usually uncooked rice, 米, 米. Tofu, right? We all know tofu, right? Tofu in Japanese. Tofu. And I guess tofu is actually just bean curd, whatever that is, made from beans. Tofu. Ah, we have fermented soybeans. This is very Japanese. Natto. Natto. Yeah, some people call it natto in English, just natto. In Japanese, natto, right? And then seaweed, the word for seaweed, nori. Nori. And finally, Japanese horseradish, wasabi in Japanese, wasabi, right? Wasabi, 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 wasabi. In English, we say wasabi. All right, so various Japanese foods here. Let's get into our lesson. So this is section 3. I believe we're in lesson 5. We're talking about foods. And last week, if you didn't see the video, I posted a link to a YouTube recording that I did. We talked about drinks, we talked about foods, we talked about, I believe, asking, will you have this drink? Oh, yes, please, stuff like that. This week, we're talking about kind of frequency. Will you eat this? I often eat this, I don't often eat that, etc., etc. So let's get into the title here. いつも朝ごはんを食べますか? いつも朝ごはんを食べますか? Right? We know this is a question. How do we know this is a question? It ends in ka, right? Whenever you see ka at the end, it's a question. So what are we asking here? いつもmeans always, okay? Always. 朝ごはん. 朝ごはん. If you don't know this word, that's okay. It means breakfast, okay? Asa, morning. Gohan, right? We studied this earlier today. Gohan is a meal. It could mean cooked rice, right? But usually it means meal. So your morning meal is your breakfast, right? Always breakfast o tabemasu. What is tabemasu? Right? Eating. Do you always eat breakfast? That's the question here. いつも朝ごはんを食べますか? I'll do it slowly. You can try to copy. いつも朝ごはんを食べますか? Okay. That's the question. Do you always eat breakfast? And here are some answers, right? はい、食べます。はい、食べます。はい means what? Yes, right? It means yes. はい、yes. 食べます. I do eat. And the implication being I do always eat breakfast. はい、食べます. I always eat breakfast. Or you could say いいえ. Right? These are actually two I's and an E. So it's いいえ. Right? いいえ. Kind of long E sound. いいえ. Which means what? It means no, right? No. 朝ごはんは食べません。食べません。Okay? I don't eat breakfast. 朝ごはんは食べません。I don't eat breakfast. Alright? So you have two answers here. Yes, I eat breakfast. はい、食べます。Or, いいえ、朝ごはんは食べません。Okay? I'm going to go down here very quickly before we do the activity. We have two phrases here. いただきます and ごちそうさま。ごちそうさま。いただきます is a phrase that you say before you eat. All right? I've seen many people translate it as let's dig in or I'm gonna eat, something like that. いただきます like literally translates to I humbly receive. Okay, I respectfully receive. Um, but everyone says this just out of habit. It's part of the culture to say いただきます right before you eat something. So try practicing this word. It can be challenging for people. いただきます and this this you at the end, right? We don't really say it so much in Japanese. It's more of a mas, right? You're just saying the S sound. So this should be pronounced itadakimasu, right? Let's say that. Itadakimasu. Okay? Before you eat. After you eat, right? When you're done, you say ごちそうさま. ごちそうさま. All right? And basically, you can translate it to that was great, or thank you for the meal, or wow, I'm stuffed. There's really not one good English translation. Gotsou-sama, you just say when you finished a meal. So, itadakimasu before, gotsou-sama after. All right, that's just part of Japanese culture. What about these words here? 卵を食べます. I'm just going to write this first. 卵を食べます. Okay, we just learned the word 卵. 卵 means what? Eggs or egg, right? Eggs. And then the phrase を食べます. を食べます means to eat, right? There is no explicit subject, right? We assume we're talking about ourselves, right? I'm talking about myself. 卵を食べます. I eat eggs, all right? There is one extra word you can add. よく. よく. This means often, okay? I often eat eggs. 卵をよく食べます。Okay? 卵をよく食べます。I often eat eggs. Or I often eat egg, right? What about the one below that? 果物。果物は、食べません。I'm just going to start with this. 果物は食べません。This ません should be a clue, right? This should be a clue that we're talking about a negative structure, right? Negative. The verb 食べます to eat in the negative is 食べません. All right? 食べません. I don't eat. And usually we mark the things we don't eat with は. Okay? 果物 is what? 果物? Fruit or fruits, right? I don't eat fruit at all, right? That's my rule, my vow, if you will. 果物は食べません. Now, there's one word we can add. あまり. あまり means not really. Not really. I don't really eat fruit. Okay? 果物はあんまり食べません. Try saying that. 果物はあまり食べません. Alright? 果物はあまり食べません. So in our activity, you may hear these words, よく and あまり, alright, to mean often or not really, okay? I'm going to play this activity here. Let's see, 171. Getting the audio. Okay, I'm going to play the audio for this activity. You have two questions. Do they always have breakfast? Right? いつも朝ごはんを食べますか? Yes, if you say yes, we're going to put a circle. If you say no, we're going to put ×, an X. Okay. And then question 2, whose breakfast? Whose breakfast are we talking about? We have A, B, C, D, and E with nothing. Okay, if they don't eat breakfast, then I assume we'll pick E. They did number 1 for us. Let's listen to number 1. Abe-san.
1、
安倍さん、いつも朝ごはん食べますか？
はい、食べます。
そうですか。何を食べますか？
私はご飯と味噌汁を食べます。野菜も食べます。
Okay, did you catch that? Could you catch it? I'm going to play it one more time. Listen again. Does she always eat breakfast? And what does she eat?
1、
安倍さん、いつも朝ごはん食べますか？
はい、食べます。
そうですか。何を食べますか？
私はご飯と味噌汁を食べます。野菜も食べます。
Right? She said, はい、食べます. Yes, I eat. So we're going to put a circle for the first blank. And now, what was her tray? What tray did she say? Well, they gave us the answer. It's A. But what did she say? She said, ご飯と味噌汁を食べます. Gohan, so cooked rice. Miso shiru, miso soup. We learned that last week. And then she said, 野菜も食べます. Yasai mo tabemas. Yasai, vegetables, right? Mo. Mo. Last week we also touched on this. Mo means to, right? Mo. Or as well. As well. Also, right? It could also mean also. Mo is very useful. Just attach it to the end of the word you want to include, right? Also this. So A, right? She had tray A. Let's do number 2. Jose-san. I'll play it twice.
2、
ホセさん、いつも朝ごはん食べますか？
はい、もちろん食べます。
何を食べますか？
私はパンと果物をよく食べます。コーヒーも飲みます。
Did you catch that? Let's do it one more time. Jose-san.
2、
ホセさん、いつも朝ごはん食べますか？
はい、もちろん食べます。
何を食べますか？
私はパンと果物をよく食べます。コーヒーも飲みます。
So his answer for the first question, he said, はい、もちろん, which means, of course. Of course, もちろん. Yeah. もちろん食べます. Of course I eat. And then he said, パン, bread, right? パンとバナナ. Yeah, not banana. 果物, he said, right? Fruit. Bread and fruit. I believe he said よく食べます maybe. I often eat bread and fruit. And then he said コーヒーも飲みます right? コーヒー right? コーヒー we studied last week. コーヒー coffee. And then も コーヒーも this も right? Also coffee. Also coffee 飲みます right? To drink. So I also drink coffee. C, right? This is tray C. So I would do circle and then C for Jose-san. Okay, number 3, Carla-san. Let's go right through these.
3、
カーラさん、いつも朝ごはんを食べますか？
いいえ、食べません。
そうですか。
That was a quick one. Let's do it again. Carla-san.
3、
カーラさん、いつも朝ごはんを食べますか？
いいえ、食べません。
そうですか。
Right? Her answer for the first question, do you always eat breakfast? She said, いいえ、食べません. No, I don't eat, right? So I would put ×, an X, ×, for Carla-san. And then the only tray that, has no food is E, so we will write E for Carla-san. Okay? How about number 4, Kawai-san?
4、
河合さん、いつも朝ごはんを食べますか？
はい。いつもパンとコーヒーです。あ、卵もよく食べます。
そうですか。果物は？
果物はあまり食べません。
One more time.
4、
河合さん、いつも朝ごはんを食べますか？
はい。いつもパンとコーヒーです。あ、卵もよく食べます。
そうですか。果物は？
果物はあまり食べません。
Were you able to catch what she said? She said, height, right? So we would put circle at the top here. And then I believe tray D is the one she's describing. Tray D. パンとコーヒーです。パンとコーヒー. So it's bread and coffee that I consume, right, in the morning. And then she said, あ、卵もよく食べます. Oh, I also often eat eggs, right? Tamago. And then the guy who was talking with her asked another question. How about 果物, right? 果物は How about fruits? And she said, what did she say? あまり食べません? I think.
果物は？
果物はあまり食べません。
Yeah, 果物はあんまり食べません. I don't really eat fruits, at least for breakfast, right? Okay, and the last one, Noda-san, number 5. I think we know the answer, but we're gonna listen anyway.
5、野田さん、いつも朝ごはん食べますか？
ああ、朝ごはんは食べませんね。ああ、ジュースを飲みますよ。
そうですか。
Okay, that one's a little tricky. Let's try that again.
5、野田さん、いつも朝ごはん食べますか？
ああ、朝ごはんは食べませんね。ああ、ジュースを飲みますよ。
そうですか。
What did he say? He said, 朝ごはんは食べませんね. Yeah, I don't eat breakfast. But then he said, ジュース飲みます. Right? Oh, actually, I drink juice. So, yeah, this one's tricky. I don't know if I would put a circle, maybe an X, a batsu, or you could do both. Circle, X, doesn't matter. This isn't a strict institution, right? But his tray is definitely B. B is the tray that he would have. So I would write B for Noda-san. Okay, how did you do? Were you able to identify based off of listening? I hope so. If not, this is recorded, so you could always go back and try again. Okay, let's do this activity. It's a 朝ごはんアンケート. Anketo. An anketo is a great word in Japanese. It means, anketo. I guess it's survey in English, survey, or like an inquiry, something like that. So this is, right, 朝ごはん, breakfast, survey. Okay, anketo. 朝ごはん anketo. So what we're going to do is read these questions together, and you can fill out, if you want, you can participate and fill out how you would answer each question. Okay, we have 3 questions here and some options. And question 1, I'll answer for myself just so that we have a sample. いつも朝ごはんを食べますか？まあ、大体, usually, mostly. So I will say はい to mean yes. Okay? はい. I almost always eat breakfast. Today, actually, I skipped breakfast and I'll be eating it after this when I listen to the bilingual Bible study. Number 2, 何をよく食べますか？何をよく食べますか？何, right, means what. What? 食べますか? Do you eat? And then よく, often. What do you often eat? What do you eat often? So we have a list here of some foods. パン, bread. ご飯, right, is cooked rice. 肉 is meat. 魚 is fish. 卵, egg or eggs. 野菜, vegetables, and 果物 is fruits. For me, I would say パン, 肉, 卵, and 果物. Yeah. Those would be my answers if I was writing these down. Okay, question 3 says 何をよく飲みますか？何をよく飲みますか? So this is not 食べます. This is not eating. This is 飲みます. Drinking, right? What do you often drink? Okay. We have コーヒー, right? Is coffee. 紅茶, again, this is black tea or English tea. We did this last week. 牛乳 is milk from a cow specifically. Juice is juice. 味噌汁 is miso soup, right? You would drink that, I guess. 水 water, and お茶 is tea, regular old tea. I often drink 牛乳 usually when it's chocolate, right? チョコレート milk. Let's see. Actually, that's pretty much all I drink. I drink that, and there's one more that is not listed. Cola. This is cola, soda, right? Soda. I really only drink those 2 things recently. I should drink more mizu, more water, but oh well. What about you guys? Do you guys always eat breakfast? What do you often eat, and what do you often drink? I'd love to hear about it, especially in Japanese. If you can, write it in Japanese. 朝ごはんアンケート. Okay, so next week we will actually move on to lesson 6. But right now, I want to do can do 11. Can do 11. If you go to a1.marugotoweb.jp, so here's the link right here, a1.marugotoweb.jp, you will find this website. And we're going to do an activity from this website, so I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Topic 3 is 食べ物, food, right? So I'm going to click can do 11. All right. Talk about your breakfast. And let's watch a video. Add English, and here we go. Asking Mai about her breakfast habits.
マイさん、毎日朝ごはんを食べますか？はい、もちろん食べます。そうですか。何を食べますか？そうですね。パン、野菜、それから卵をいつも食べます。何を飲みますか？紅茶を飲みます。
Let's watch that one more time. Try to break it down. Okay, asking Mai about her breakfast habits.
マイさん、毎日朝。
Okay, let's stop right here. Mai-san. So Mai obviously is her name. You can add san as a little title just to be polite, right? Mai-san. Mainichi. Mainichi means every day. Every day. Asagohan, again, breakfast. O tabemasu ka? Do you eat? So do you eat breakfast every day? Mai-san. Okay, literally the reverse of English.
ご飯を食べますか？はい。
はい。もちろん食べます。Okay, はい we know is yes. もちろん I explained earlier means of course, and 食べます means eat. Yes, of course I eat. Every day is the implication.
もちろん食べます。そうですか。
Alright? そうですか. This is again a very standard reply in Japanese. Just a standard reply could mean I see or oh really? Is that so? You know, Japanese people use そうですか all the time. 何を食べますか? Nani means what? を食べますか? Do you eat? Again, what do you eat?
何を食べますか？そうですね。
Alright, let's stop it there. That's a very Japanese way of like saying like, well, you know, you're thinking about something. In Japanese. Okay. そうですね. そうですね. This is a good phrase. It's not the same as そうですか. Okay, そうですか is oh really? Okay. そうですね means well, let me see. That's what it means. Let me see. You say this phrase when you're thinking about something, when you are about to give an answer. Okay, そうですね. パン、野菜. So now she's making a list. パン、野菜, bread, vegetables. それから is a good word. It means and then, okay? It could just mean and or and then それから卵 right? 卵をいつも食べます. I always eat eggs. So she's saying bread, vegetables, and then I always eat eggs. Something like that.
パン、野菜、それから卵をいつも食べます。何を飲みます？
Alright. Standard question. Nani, what nomimasu ka? Do you drink? Nani o nomimasu ka? What do you drink?
紅茶を飲み
Again, standard reply. I drink black tea. 紅茶を飲みます.
ます。
Alright, I'm going to take the English off and see if you can follow this conversation without English.
マイさん、毎日朝ごはんを食べますか？はい、もちろん食べます。そうですか。何を食べますか？そうですね。パン、野菜、それから卵をいつも食べます。何を飲みますか？紅茶を飲みます。
Okay, let's do let's try. So we're going to try stating our breakfast habits. It's morning in the Kimura family house. Let's talk about breakfast. Let's.
いつも朝ごはんを食べますか？
はい、食べます。パンを食べます。
そうですか。私はコーヒーを飲みます。何も食べません。
Oh, okay. Let's try that one more time. Okay. Let's talk about breakfast.
いつも朝ごはん、
Alright, this is our standard question, right? いつも always 朝ごはんを食べますか? Do you eat breakfast? Do you always eat breakfast? How about you guys? Is it true for you? Do you always eat breakfast?
食べますか？
Alright. We have some options. はい、食べます。Yes, I do eat. Yes, I do. パンを食べます。I eat bread. Or, right, you could say, いいえ、あまり食べません。いいえ、あまり食べません。No, I don't really eat so much. Feel free to change this パン to whatever you guys eat. I personally, I eat cereal all the time. シリアル. So I would say, はい、食べます。シリアルを食べます。はい、食べます。シリアルを食べます。Okay.
そうですか。私はコーヒーを飲みます。
Okay, so 私は as for me, right? You don't always need 私. You don't always need to say I. 私 means I. You don't always need to say it. But in this case, it would be good to use 私, right? Why? Because now he's talking about a different subject. He's now the subject. So it's good for him to use 私は in this case, right? So that we can clarify, oh, we were talking about me. Now I'm talking about, or he's talking about himself. Okay? 私は, as for me, コーヒーを飲みます. I drink coffee. 何も食べません. This is a good word. 何も. 食べません. When 何も is used with a negative verb like it is here, 食べません, it means anything or nothing. All right? I don't eat anything. Okay? I don't eat anything. 何も食べません.
何も食べません。
Okay. How was that? Were you able to state your breakfast habits? What do you always eat? What do you not eat? Things like that. Okay, we are at 10:42. Let me see. I was going to show you a cultural video. Maybe I can still do that. This website is great. Not only can you do practice videos like that, you could also learn about hiragana, katakana, kanji, some grammar, and then life and culture, which is what I want to show you, life and culture. We're going to go down to food. So let's watch some food videos. 回転寿司 revolving sushi, conveyor belt sushi.
ここは回転寿司の店です。入ってみましょう。
いらっしゃいませ。何名様でしょうか。
一人です。
ご案内します。どうぞ。
ありました。タコです。美味しそうです。また来ました。今度はマグロです。赤身のマグロですね。美味しそう。それから、これはマグロのトロですね。脂がたくさん乗っています。美味しそう。来ました。これ私好きです。イカです。真っ白なイカ。これも美味しそうです。それからサーモンです。綺麗な鮮やかなオレンジです。あとこれ好きです。エビ。茹でてあります。エビです。 ここには食後のデザート、ケーキがありますね。美味しそう。チョコレートケーキを取ってみます。こんなのも食べれるんですね。それから、プリンもありました。これもいただきます。はい、このようにたくさんの種類がここにはあります。美味しそうです。こちらでは105円から525円までお皿のデザインで値段がわかります。お茶を作ります。粉末のお茶をこぼさないようにゆっくり入れて、お湯を入れます。だいたいこのくらいですかね。入りました。はい。そして、こちらが生姜です。回転寿司のお店では、生姜もお茶も無料です。
お待たせしました。
すいません。
はい。
サーモン一つお願いします。
サーモンがお一つ。
はい。
以上でよろしいでしょうか。
はい。
はい。ありがとうございます。
楽しみです。
オーダーいただきました。すいません。お待たせいたしました。サーモンです。
ありがとうございます。うわー、美味しそう。いただきます。醤油つけます。美味しいです。
Okay. I love these videos. Notice before she took the sushi and put it in her mouth, what did she say? Right? Our special phrase that we learned earlier in this lesson today. Itadakimasu. Right? Itadakimasu. The special phrase, I humbly receive, right? Literally translated. You always say that before you eat. Another thing to point out, the plates, right? The design of the plate, the color of the plate tells you how much you're going to pay. All right. Basically, the price to eat there is totally up to you. Depending on how much you eat, is how much you're going to pay. So if I take, I've had friends who take 10 plates like this high, you can stack them, 10 plates of sushi. Of course, each plate has 1 or 2 rolls on it, but they would take 10 plates and only pay maybe about $10, $11 for the entire stack. And it was great. I loved eating kaiten sushi at kaiten sushi in Japan. It's actually really fun. Another thing to notice, she pressed a button, right? She pressed a button and the server came to her table. That is common in many restaurants. There are usually little buttons that you can press to bring over your waiter or waitress. They will not come to you automatically, like in America. They won't do that. That's an American thing. So the button is very Japanese. Also, you can yell for a waiter or waitress, "Sumimasen," right? Just say, "Excuse me," and someone will come over. That's normal in Japan as well. Okay, let's do, maybe we have time for one more. Let me see. Let me see if this is long enough. Yes, it is. We'll watch one more.
ここは立ち食いそばの店です。私はかけそばを食べます。何秒で出来上がるでしょうか。それではお願いします。よーい、スタート。 ストップ。25秒。早いですね。では、いただきます。美味しいです。ここはラーメン屋です。いろいろなメニューがあります。
いらっしゃいませ。
ラーメン一つお願いします。
はい、少々お待ちください。
麺を茹でます。スープを作ります。湯切りをします。器に麺を入れます。出来上がったスープを器に入れます。トッピングをします。
お待たせしました。ラーメン失礼いたします。
ありがとうございます。美味しそうですね。これは卵です。これはネギです。これはチャーシューです。いただきます。美味しい。美味しかった。ごちそうさまでした。
ありがとうございます。800円です。
はい。はい。
ちょうどお預かりします。ありがとうございます。
ごちそうさまでした。
Okay. Yeah. I also really liked eating ramen in Japan, but most of the food that's hot is really hot. At least to me, I have a very sensitive tongue, so I couldn't always, I kind of had to wait. But you'll notice when Japanese people eat, they kind of slurp up the noodles into their mouth. It's very loud, actually. Um, I tried really hard to learn how to do that because I could not do that. And there's really a function to that. There's a purpose for that. When you slurp the way Japanese people do, it adds a lot of air into your mouth and against the noodles, and it cools them off a little faster, you know. So it's not as hot. At least that's what I've heard. I've never really gotten the hang of slurping like that, but it's very common. I've seen Japanese my Japanese friends when they're eating ramen like just like that, they're really trying to guzzle it down before it gets cold. All that hot food goes into their body and they actually start sweating. You can see sweat droplets appear on the back of their neck and then on their forehead, and they just start sweating because they're eating such hot food. And it's always amazed me. I actually recently had a conversation about this with my fiance. She's Japanese, and it happens to her even. Like I thought it was just my one weird friend. Oh, he's sweating when he eats, but no, I think it happens. It's normal in Japan. But yeah, each person their eating habits will be different. For me, I probably won't ever sweat because my palate again is really sensitive. Okay, it is 10:54. We are winding down here. Thank you guys for joining me. Next week, I believe we will be able to do another live. If not, I'll let you know and probably post a link of a pre-recorded lesson. So look out for that. Always, as always, be safe, guys. I miss you, and if I'm still here by the time we could have live lessons, hopefully we can get back into the classroom, start interacting with each other. But until then, stay safe, please. After this, on Facebook and on Zoom, we have a bilingual Bible study. Go ahead, feel free to join that. It's extra practice, usually trilingual, English, Japanese, and Spanish. So if you want to practice any of those languages, go right ahead. Thank you guys for joining me.